Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here. Today I want to discuss about teachers' quarters. In my first session, and it was the interior of Kitui, far long time ago. I remember very well, there was a vacant teacher's quarter, and it was a single room, and we used to pay 250 shillings. This room did not have a ceiling. It was only the iron sheets and an empty room with, I think, one socket. And the floor was chipped. But you know, when you're employed, it's good you even stay within the school, for you don't get your salary immediately. I think I stayed in that room for a year or two. Yes. It used to be okay and enough because I was single and I was still trying to get things. It was enough for me because I was just from the campus. I was employed the same year I got out of campus. That time there were many jobs. Actually, when I was getting that job, 2 other schools wanted me to go and teach in their school under the TSC. So there were many jobs. And the teachers who had graduated were very few. And I started gathering or getting things in my room. When we used to pay the 250, and I remember it was just like we usually call it like a plot, yeah. We were only 4 teachers there. And when we paid the 250, it was not inclusive of the electricity bill. That time it was being paid via postpaid. So we used to come together, the 4 of us, the teachers, and then we pay the amount that accrued. So here I was talking about the 250. The 250 that we used to pay to the school, we were not told where it was being used, because those houses were built during the colonial period, I think so. Because from that time, there is no any other house that was built in that particular school that I used to teach. But it was okay because living within the school is good because you're able to do your duties effectively. There's you get a lot of time on your own because you don't take a lot of time from where you live to school because you're within the school compound. These houses also did not have piped water. We used to get water from the school via jerry cans. So you can get a school worker, you pay them, and then they bring the water to you. They carry the water from the school to your place. It was still okay. Then after 2 years, I went, there were other teachers' quarters which were a bit bigger. These ones were 2-bedroomed. The 2-bedroomed houses still did not have piped water. But now I could be able to pay my own electricity bill. They were not en suite, as in they did not have the toilets inside the house. We used to use the latrine. Even previously, there was a latrine for all the teachers. This was, for me, a bit weird because, toilets are very, I think now, they were very cheap during that time. Like an Asian was like 1,000. The only problem was because there's a time that I asked the principal whether I can install my own toilet. And I had to get permission from him because number 1 is the one who's in charge of the houses, and number 2, because I needed to also do the septic tank. You don't know, yeah, that is a story of another day. So this house did not also have a ceiling. But I thank God it is a 2-bedrooms. So now because I had more things, I'm a woman, so I bought sofas like that, so it was comfortable for me. These houses we used to pay 900 shillings per month to the school. These ones were also built during colonial period, because the time that I stayed there, and I stayed more than 5 years in that station, and when I stayed there, there were no houses that were built, new houses that were built, even up to today. no any other development that has been made in that school. When you used to pay the 900, some of the teachers never used to pay actually. It accrued. If you are being transferred, that is the time you're reminded by the accounts clerk you have to pay this amount. Even paying electricity for some of the teachers was you had to push them. And most of the teachers were saying that they argued that if they paid the 900 shillings, they did not know how the money was being used. That's why they did not pay. Remember, renovations were not done. If you wanted to do something like repaint the house, I repainted my own house. If you wanted to do like the fluids, maybe cracked, you want to do something, you were doing it on your own. So you cannot go and complain to someone, this is not happening, this is what happened. And I remember also when I was in the teachers' school, there's a time, and this is a very dry place. The school principal said that we will not be getting water from the school. It will be rationed. I don't know, in your teacher's quarters, I want you to write in the comment section and tell me, do you have piped water in your teacher's quarters? Do you pay rent? I want to know, because I've told you severally what we used to pay there. And before I left there were no more developments. We still used to pay the 900 shillings. So I went to the next station. The next station was like a disco, so it was still starting to develop. There were no houses. The third station that I went to, there were teachers' quarters. And these teachers' quarters are not paid for. 2 bedrooms, still house, but at least here there is a ceiling. But the kitchen sink does not even have, I think someone was, the previous teacher was living there, got some of the items, as in when they were shifting, they destroyed some of the, like the sink, I cannot use like the kitchen sink, I cannot use the kitchen sink. So I had to make it myself. They've never been painted, I think, for the longest time. These also were built during, if I'm not wrong, the colonial period also. Because no renovations. They had, during that time, they had piped water. Now they do not have. Even the taps, and some of them are not working. And this is also what happened some time back. It happened, the tank that was outside the houses that used to get water occasionally busted. So you see, it is not working anymore. It cannot be. Actually, it's not even cracking. It busted open into pieces. And because we don't pay rent, it was not replaced. So there's still no piped water. So we have to get water via jerry cans. They still like electricity, but we pay for our own electricity. When we requested the water tank to be replaced, we were told that we do not pay rent. So do you think that the water tank should be replaced? Or we have to pay it ourselves? What do you think? I also want to know those teachers who pay for rent. Are there renovations that are done in your teachers' quarters? Around the teachers' quarters are lawns. There's also grass that needs to be tended to. Are you the ones who make payments for that to be tended, or do you get a school worker to come do it for free? What happens? Because I want to know whether, because I've only been in several schools, we have very many different schools. What goes on? So that we talk about it and we let other people know about it so that we can be able to help each other. Can all teachers be able to get a house in the teachers' quarters, or only specific teachers are allowed? Because the schools that have been, any teacher can get, as long as the house is vacant, they can be able to do what? To use the house. They can. It's not renting out, because some of them don't pay rent. Most of the schools don't pay rent. When I ask in my current station why we don't pay rent, the teacher who's been here for a while said that the principal who was there before said that the teachers who are staying in the teachers' quarters will not pay rent because it is just like a compensation, because they are within the school, they are always on duty. In case anything happens, they are always there in charge. They're the ones who are in the evening preps and the morning preps duty. So that is a way of compensating for them, because they're always here when they are needed. And it was a good move. I agree with them, but what do you think? What is your feeling about it? The challenges that I've found in teachers' quarters, especially when I was new, my first station that I told you I stayed in a room. If you stay in a plot like that, it is like a plot in the teachers' quarters. It is quite challenging if one of the neighbors doesn't have good behavior or they are not clean. I remember one of the teachers was a man and he was very promiscuous. Actually, he was even had relations with the accounts clerk, and it was bringing an issue with the wife. And one time the wife came so that he can be, I don't know whether it's a teacher, I think it's a teacher who told the wife, and then he came, and then we could not, that day, the wife, she stayed outside the house, and she was making noise. It was a bit funny. And also in the teachers' quarters, because they are within the school, if the students are making noise, it's during PE or you have a child, that is a nuisance. There's no privacy, because if you have like a bash, all the other teachers will automatically attend, and they'll know they'll know what's going on in your house. Like what I was telling you, there was a misunderstanding. We all knew about it because we are around there. Actually, we are neighbors. So no privacy. All the things that are happening in your house are streaming back to what? To school, and they are not school issues, because everyone is on your case, you're just there. So I usually don't recommend them so much. Especially if you have a family, don't stay there. If you like your privacy also, rent out a house outside the school, or even better, build yours. Another challenge that I found with the teachers' quarters is that we already talked about renovations. They are not done. You have to do your own renovations. If you have an issue, it's really, actually, automatic. It's not done. You have to do it. If you had rented a house outside the school, of course, your tenant, the landlord is going to take care of it. But the teachers' quarters, the way they are, I don't know whether there are schools that they are listened to, because it doesn't happen. It has never happened in those stations I've gone to. As we were talking about no privacy, there's also noise. If you have those single teachers, especially the male, who play loud music and their TV is on 24 hours, that's a bit challenging. Yes, you can go tell them, keep quiet. You can have some essence, but because if they do not listen, they also just do their own thing. You cannot tell someone to keep quiet day in, day out. Another challenge is that most of the teachers have become too comfortable in the teachers' quarters that they forget that they will go to a different station or they're going to retire. So they're supposed to build their own place. You retire and then you don't even want to vacate the teachers' quarters because you've never built anywhere. You've raised your children in the teachers' quarters, they've grown and they're already married off, but you don't want to get out of the teachers' quarters. It has happened severally. So when you're in the teachers' quarters, don't get too comfortable. Especially in national schools whereby you're given, it's just, you have the house and you also have the farm. You can keep one dairy cow, and then you can also, you have sugar cane, you have maize, you have a kitchen garden. You become too comfortable. As you go up the ranks in the school, you become a senior teacher or you become an HOD, you go to the deputy in the same station. You tend to be too comfortable because everything is within the premises and you forget to develop yourself. Don't forget. Make sure if you've closed school, most of them don't stay in the teacher's quarters. Go to to your palatial home where you've built, to stay there and to make it comfortable. Because after you retire, most of the people have stayed more years after retirement than before retirement. Thanks a lot for subscribing and listening. Kesha.